Welcome to another episode of C-Suite Café, a program where we take on issues affecting business and industry. Today, we are delving into national reputation, and we have with us somebody who lives, breathes, walks, and talks reputation management and nation branding. We have with us here today Yomi Badejo-Okusanya, Chief Executive Officer of CMC Connect and Chairman, Nigeria Reputation Management Group. You're welcome.
Thank you very much again. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to be here.
Okay, you're welcome. We have a tradition, the way we launch into the program. First, we kick ourselves with coffee so that we can be well prepared and primed. So,
am I allowed to do that with tea?
Well,
because I don't drink coffee, but it's good.
We go into the real business of the day. You are the chairman of the Nigeria Reputation Management Group.
Yes.
Can you explain to us in detail what this group is all about?
Okay. The Nigeria Reputation Management Group is a creation, it's a private sector-led initiative of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. It has been mandated to lead national efforts in terms of advocacy, public enlightenment, research, and behavioral reorientation towards rebuilding Nigeria's reputation and strengthening its national character. In a nutshell, that's what it is.
Are you not combining, are you not taking the roles of National Orientation Agency?
No, not at all. We are very distinct. I mean, our work is complementary, or both organizations, their work is complementary, but it's not taking it on its role. Basically, what the National Orientation Agency focuses on is value reorientation, which is an integral part of when you want to talk about reputation also, because when you build reputation, it also has to do with values. We complement each other well because we're serving the same purpose. You will agree with me that one organization may not be able to do the entire effort. We are focused on reputation as a tangible asset, as a powerful commodity of exchange and influence across the globe. We're grateful for the work that the NOA is doing. Like I said, it's in line with what our mandate and our ethos. But together, I believe that we can deliver. Our mandate goes beyond just value reorientation. We have to shape the reputation of the country, or help shape the reputation of the country. Let me even put it like this. The reputation gates of Nigeria have been left unmanned for a very long time, in terms of the fact that nobody is harnessing the issues that have to do with reputation of the country and distilling those things and then channeling it for advantage, for competitive advantage for the country. And that's where the Nigeria Reputation Management Group comes in.
How involved is the government in this? How many government institutions are connected to the jobs we're doing in this group?
Okay, remember I said that it's a private sector-led initiative.
Yes.
One of the things, a fundamental difference between us and the National Orientation Agency is that the latter is a government initiative, which is not bad, it's good, I'm not condemning it. But there must be a synergy between the public sector and the private sector. So we represent the public sector. But even having said that, we work with government establishments, and the two key ministries that we have had who were part of our launch last year, October 15, were I beg your pardon, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, which is also the supervising ministry for the National Orientation Agency. So you will see that bringing government in, because we sit at that intersection between government and the private sector. So we're mixing both together. So while one is essentially funded and supported by government, we are looking at the private sector being the catalyst and the motivator of the Nigerian Reputation Management Group.
Okay, I had to ask that question because as a journalist, I've written quite a lot on nation marketing and branding. And examples from other parts of the world point to government taking ownership, because they are the custodians of the nation brand. And I suspect, or let me say, I believe that you should be taking, you should be connected to the presidency at the topmost level to do your job. Are they interested in what you're doing?
Well, I just told you, the two ministers that launched us last year were His Excellency Ambassador Tuga and Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNIPR, one Minister of Foreign Affairs and the other the Minister of Information and National Orientation, which means that we have the backing of the government, like you said. But one of the things that that has characterized the efforts, let me use the word that is the street lingo, rebranding of Nigeria, has been that it has been government. Most of the programs have been government driven. And the issue that has happened with them is that when that government goes, it dies, no matter how brilliant or otherwise those ideas or those programs are. So we believe that there must be sustenance, and it is that sustenance that the private sector can guarantee, because irrespective of which government is in power, and when I mean which government, I'm not talking just about parties, I'm even talking about administration, because we've seen governments from the same party that are different when it comes to style of administration.
Yes.
Many times there's no continuity because somebody comes and says, I want to do something new. But what doesn't change is the private sector. Because private sector, yesterday, today, forever, they are still private sector. And they have sufficient interest in making sure that this initiative works, because it also has significant bearing on the business that they do. So at the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, our payoff, our slogan is reputation first. And when we talk about that reputation first, we say that in every decision you make, whether you're public or you're private, you must have the reputation of the country in mind. And if you allow me to maybe digress a bit, let's take something that has been in the media recently, and that's the issue of, the contention or the controversy, as it were, between Dangote refinery and the labor unions, namely Pengasan and Nupeng. And for the sack of 800 people or staff, these trade unions shut down the nation's supply, and at the risk of getting into that controversy, for us, for instance, at the National Reputation Management Group, what is the implication in terms of reputation? Because here we are, maybe only last week, we were at the National Nigeria Economic Summit, inviting investors to come into Nigeria. But those who are investing in Nigeria, at the slightest disagreement, their businesses are shut down. So do you think any serious investor will come to Nigeria? Because that investor will be looking at and will be wondering, if they can treat their own person like this, how about us who would be foreigners in this country? So while the labor organizations may have had good reason, but the execution, in our own opinion, leaves a lot to be desired, in the sense that the signal that we're sending out there can be chaotic. It can be that it can be anti-investment. It can make it look like there's no rule of law, because there are rules guiding trade disputes. And the solution is not that you take, quote and unquote, an arbitrary decision to go and shut down this economy. Basically, that's what they did. Because by shutting down this, supply, that, and all that, literally about to bring the country to its knees, because 800 people were let go. Like I said, I'm not querying the justification for the 800 people being let go, and I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the reaction to it, in my own opinion, and the opinion of the Nigerian Reputation Management Group, leaves a bit to be desired in terms of reputation.
But if you play back a little, you know that before the Dangote and Labour had that disagreement, there were big bats between Dangote refinery and the government-owned monopoly then, NNPC, in terms of fuel imports, in terms of pricing, in terms of control of the market, in terms of channels of supply and things like that. This is government impeding private investment. Is that not a problem, that the body language of the government is not even pointing towards readiness to play by the standard playbook of marketing this country?
Okay. I'll be very careful, because sometimes I don't want to dabble, or not sometimes, I don't want to dabble in something that I don't have full knowledge of. But I have knowledge of reputation by reason of the work that I've done for the last over 3 decades. I have good knowledge of reputation. The truth of the matter is that when you take decisions hinged on just one perspective, and you don't look at the entirety, or you don't look at it wholesomely, invariably you can injure the efforts of the country at trying to attract good investment, and also enhancing its reputation. So let's still go to this same Dangote again. I think it must have been about a year, a few months back, it could be over a year or sometime back, the EFCC raided the offices of Dangote. Dangote is not above the law. Yeah. And I have no reason to say, if he has infracted in any way, he should not be brought to book or not be investigated. But not the EFCC invading his office in a gangster-like manner. The whole world is watching. You do not attract investment by putting adverts on the TV. Neither do you attract investment solely by having exhibition booths at global events. The people who really want to invest in the country will ask those who have invested, what is your experience? And that's where reputation comes in. So when you ask and they say, oh, well, I was favorably treated. I like what it is. I can bring in my money easily. I can take out my money easily. Oh, there's rule of law when you go to, when there will always be disputes. And when we go to arbitration or we go to court, it's easily resolved and so on and so forth. Those are the things. And then how far and how fast can your investment dollar grow? Those are the things that and if you look at those are tangible assets that reputation leverages, that it enables countries or organizations to project themselves or to sell themselves as, let me use the word, as a commodity, if I can use that phrase.
Okay. I still go back to the public sector, and there are issues. These recent issues of forgery of certificates, and the government, how ready are they? The Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology was recently found to have forged his certificate, 2 certificates, his degree and, of course, NYSC. And he was asked to go. Wasn't that a slap in the wrist before the world watching? No. There are penalties, there are punishments by Nigerian law for that.
So let's not get confused with the process. And I don't want us to look at the small issues. There are bigger issues. Now, what happens there is that somebody was found to have done the wrong thing, and the good thing that the person did was the person resigned. That's one aspect of it. He resigned voluntarily, and it's possible that he's still being investigated. It's not the day that you are caught or you are suspected of infringing on the law that the book is thrown at you. When you look at a country, let me give you an example. And again, I hope I'm not digressing. Desiani is in the UK. Has she been charged to court? The UK police can spend 8-9 years investigating you. The day they take you to court, you know that the trial can be very quick. It's not like our own that trials will be going on for years. It's a process. And what is most important for your reputation as a country is that the process is followed. There will always be infractions. There's corruption everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. There's no place that, well, quote and unquote. The critical thing is that the consequences, even in China, where they kill people for being corrupt, there's still corruption going on. In Saudi Arabia, where if you are caught importing or exporting cocaine, the punishment is beheading. People still attempt to carry drugs. So it means that punitive or punishment or punitive measures are not enough to bring about behavioral change. There has to be some level of persuasion, which is in the realm that the Nigeria Reputation Management Group is working, to say to you that don't even go there in the first place. Don't even be part of it, because this thing that you do has the potential of bringing the nation into disrepute or painting it in a bad color.
Okay, what private sector groups are in this with you?
Well, 15th of October every year has been designated as the Nigeria Reputation Day. And what is it? Globally, we believe that it will grow so that Nigerians will be aware of those issues that have impact on the reputation of the country. and that they begin to pay full attention to it and ensure that they do the right thing. Like I said, our payoff or our slogan or motto, as you call it, is reputation first. So that when you take an action or you do not take an action, you think of the reputational consequences of that action. Then it will make you decide whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it. Take, for instance, when you fly from a foreign country into Nigeria, the same Nigerians that queue in boarding that plane, why is it that when we get to Nigeria, things change? So you think it is right for you to do it there, but it's not right for you to do it here. So we want to tell you that it does matter. When you do those things, which invariably is designed to make you get undue advantage, to get ahead of others, it has reputational consequences for Nigeria. So I always give this example. I attended, that's the word, quite a notable secondary school that has produced very notable Nigerians, Igbobi College. As a matter of fact, I'm the president of the Old Boys Association. And on a number of my cars, I have a sticker which says an old Igbobian. So when my driver wants to do something, I say to him, there's a sticker on the back shield that says that I am supposed to be a noble Nigerian. So what that means is that you can't drive against traffic. What that means is that you can't do the wrong thing. You can't stop in the wrong place. You can't toss things out of the car onto the road. It's wrong because I carry an identity. And with that identity is associated nobleness. The nobleness of the likes of Taslim Elias, who was the first Nigeria to sit at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. The noble Nigerians of the Olorogun Michael Ibru. Noble Nigerians like Otumba Shubomi Balogun of FCMB. Noble Nigerians like Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the former vice president. Noble Nigerians like Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, former governor of Lagos State. These people are reputed to have added to the reputation of Nigeria as a country. I cannot be seen to do less, even though I'm not in the offices that those people have occupied. So you must always carry that consciousness around you. Nowadays, you see, it's become almost like a contest. You're driving on the street and you see some men and they bring out their privates and they're peeing. And some of them are even so bad that they don't even face the bush anymore. They face the road. Excuse me, where do you think you are? I've had cause to ask my driver to block people who have thrown things out of a car. Is that a dustbin? Would you do it in your house? Would you just take a styrofoam pack of some fast food that you're eating and you're done with it and you toss it out of the window, or a bottle of empty bottle of water? Would you do that in your house? Where the secondary school I attended, when you walk past litter and you don't pick it up, whether you are the one who put it there or not, they make you pick the litter around the compound for the next 3 days. So even till now, when I'm walking down the stairway and I see some litter, I pick it. So those are issues that, and you may look at them that they are small issues, but there are many things that drive reputation, and that's what. So we want to heighten the reputation consciousness of Nigerians. So if you see that, it's away from what the NOA is doing. We are more involved with reputation. Agreed that value is an essential part of building reputation, because from values you build character, and from character you build reputation.
Okay, I had to ask that question because one of our guests on this show, Yele Okeremi, the managing director of Precise Financial Systems, one of the well-known software companies in this country. He has been here and he lamented bitterly the impact that our national reputation has on fintech businesses coming out of Nigeria. He cried bitterly about how they are underpriced outside because they are Nigerian companies, and how people who started here, rather than allowing their company to grow, will just easily sell to foreign companies and lose. There are unicorns that have come out of here, the likes of InterSwitch, Flutterwave. Most of these ones have sold to other interests. Facebook, Meta had come here and purchased a startup that was incubated in Yaba there. And he felt that a lot can be done to enhance their businesses so that they remain for the long term, for the forever Nigerian businesses, rather than selling. And that's why I asked how many private sector businesses or sector groups are involved in this project, because those of us in PR and media are not the major beneficiaries. It is the businesses that come out of this country that are going to be the tangible beneficiaries directly from an enhanced national reputation.
Okay. Sorry, I think I did miss that question when you asked me how many private sector. There are quite a number of people who are supporting us, and the support is increasing by the day. What I would ask you is that please keep your gunpowder dry, because in the month of January, by the grace of God, we are going to have our first National Reputation Summit. And then you see the whole gamut of the private sector that is supporting us. We work for clients, and many of us who are in that engagement, we work in private sector. So we're bringing the strength and the knowledge and the interaction. It's like when that time comes, I invite you guys, you will come, because it's a national assignment. It's not a YBO assignment, or it's not my company assignment. It is a national assignment. And many of us have been asking ourselves, how do we get involved? That's the question people keep on asking me. YBO, how can I get involved in this? What do you need? How do I support you? So on and so forth. Let me tell you something. Reputation is not merely about perception. It is power. It is power. And the failure of us to trade in that power is what has kept us where we are. That's why a lot of our businesses are being picked, cherry picking. You just pick them, they have money and they have reputation. Because what is easy for you to do in another clime may be difficult for you to do here. Just because of the environment, just because you are Nigerian, just because you have a green passport. So, what must we do? We must all come together to drive this reputation agenda. It's not something for one person. It's not something for an organization. It's not something for government alone. It's also for private sector. All of us wholesomely must address this. So we have about 5 things that will help us build in terms of this, 5 pillars, let me call them 5 pillars of helping us to build or rebuild and sustain Nigeria's reputation. We want consistency, acting with integrity, not occasionally but always. Transparency, being open in all our decisions and accountable for the outcomes that we have. Responsibility, number 3, owning our actions and correcting our missteps. There will always be missteps, but we must own them and we must correct them. Number 4, respect. Treating our people, our institutions, our laws, our environment with dignity. If you do not take yourself seriously, why should people take you seriously? If you continue to denigrate your system, you continue to denigrate the system. Let me tell you, in the research that we've done, we've found out that Nigerians do not have a problem with Nigeria. They have a problem with the people who are leading Nigeria. And very often, because they are not able to distinguish between those who are leading and the entity called Nigeria, Nigeria itself suffers. So you find people saying things like, Nigeria here, permit me to speak Yoruba, which means that if you talk to people who live abroad and they talk down and say, oh, you people's Nigeria, it is our Nigeria, it's not you people's Nigeria. Collectively, it's our Nigeria. Then number 5, excellence, I beg your pardon, rejecting mediocrity and striving for higher standard in all things. Don't accept it. Don't accept it. What is not acceptable, don't accept it. Don't play with it. Don't trade with it. We must make sure that the standard that we have set for ourselves is the kind of standard that is comparable to any in the world. So for me, those are some of the things we must pay cognizance to. For us and Reputation Management Group, those are 5 pillars. And maybe if given the opportunity, I will talk about what I call the M factor, which is Nigeria's cultural power grid. For us in CMC Connect, we talk about the fact that public relations is the art of telling compelling stories. And there are 5 dimensions to feeling the pulse of Nigerian story. Music. We call it the M factor. The M factor, the M factor, the M factor, and then the F. 1 is music. First M is music. There's a rhythm of resilience that turns challenges into chance and hope in harmony in this country. There's that music. It brings all of us together. Whether you listen to a Burna Boy, whether it's an Ashake, whether it's what do you call it, Temi, or Thames, and there's just that pulse of the rhythm. They've now rechristened it Afrobeat, and you see that it's pulsating. Our music is all over the world. There's no major international event that holds now that our Nigerian artists are not showcased, whether it's Burna Boy or Davido or Thames, any one of them. You can say, I think her name is Ira or something,
Ira Star.
Yeah, Ira Star. Number 2, our movies. As the immediate past president of the African Public Relations Association, I've had the privilege of traveling across Africa, and Nigerian music is all over the place. Nothing gives me greater pleasure. You walk into a shop in Los Angeles, in Paris, in London, in New York, and they're playing Nigerian music. The first time I heard Oliver D'Banj was at London Heathrow Airport. And I was saying, who is this? He had just come out. I was transiting, and I was in one of the bathrooms trying to grab a quick shower to take a connecting flight to the US, I think. And I heard it on the general, and I said, who is this? Immediately, I knew it was a Nigerian, and I could recognize the band. Immediately, I got out of the shower stall. I went to look for the music. So then our movies, our mirrors, it's our megaphone, projecting our truth, humor, and courage with global reach. If you visit anybody in America now, get into their living room, they're watching a Nigerian movie. Do you know what? Maybe because we at home do not appreciate it as much. They appreciate it a lot more than us. Then the media, the voice that frames our perception, building or breaking trust, and depending on how we use it, the media is a powerful tool, like what you guys are doing now. Then our minds, our thinkers, innovators and reformers, these are the people, the interswitch of this world, the flutter waves of this world, the peggy invest of this world, and so on and so forth. The conscious and the creativity behind them, the OPAs, the money points. If you know what those guys are doing, if you know what they're turning over, unbelievable. And then the F, our fashion, all over. Have you seen what people are doing with Adire? Have you seen it, to the extent that the Chinese are now imitating that Adire, what is being produced in Abeokuta? The fashion defines our culture. I've had the privilege of attending some weddings whereby Nigerian marrying maybe a white American. Have you seen those weddings before? Some of those guys dance better than us. The boys in the agbada, and they are all Caucasian.
Okay, we are not at our best position before the world, and that's what necessitated the intervention of NIPR, which prompted them to create the Nigerian Reputation Management Group that you're heading. What are those sore points in our conduct, in our relationship with the world, that you believe the process you have started can help to address?
So, as a strategic communicator, I'll not repeat my challenges. I'd rather use my platforms to sell my strengths. Because when you look at what you call the SWOT analysis, it says you must convert your weaknesses to your strength and your threats into opportunities. So I do not want to talk about the challenges I have. I do have those challenges, but they're not insurmountable. And I don't believe that there's none that cannot be addressed by what we call behavioral change. And there's a science to behavioral change. And that's the science that we're going to apply in the Nigerian Reputation Management to deliver a turnaround in the reputation. Like I said, for too long, the reputation gate of Nigeria has been left unmanned. Nobody has harnessed it. We've done some thematic campaigns that have addressed it. What are those things? The ones that we did in previous governments, good people,
great nation, the heart of
Africa, and so all those things are good. But why, in my own opinion, those things sounded or ended up as being hollow? Because that change must come from the heart. So while we saw those nice creative work, it didn't change the mindset. So for there to be a behavioral change, it must start with the heart. So the difference that the Nigerian Reputation Management Group will bring to the table is that we want to be more persuasive by starting with the heart. And then so that will be the foundation of the change. Our movies, they always depict our own Nigeria police as being bereft of ideas, as being corrupt, as being inefficient. And guess what? Sometimes the police themselves lend their own paraphernalia to those who are shooting the movies that makes them look stupid. And I had to call Muiwa Adejobi and I said, you shouldn't do this. Do you know, there's something called FBI cold cases. I don't know if anybody has seen it on them. Do you know what they're telling you? That no matter how long, the long arm of the law will finally catch up with you. That's all they're telling you. So you've committed a crime. There's that one just happened now. Maybe the man is almost in his 90s or so. He committed a crime when he was 20 because there was no DNA then. Now DNA is there. They've been able to, they just arrested, I think it was a few months ago. He's definitely going to die in prison because I think he committed 2 murders. Which movie have you seen that they have killed a US Marine and they left it like that? To avenge that death of that one US Marine, they can take 20 back to go and get you. All they're telling you is that don't try us. And yet, we in Nigeria, that's why I said NRMG, reputation first. Why are you depicting your policemen in such comical, clownish, and the sad thing, they're wearing the insignia of the Nigerian police. They're driving their vehicle. You don't do that. You must read the script. And you must say to them, no way, you put your best foot forward. Do we have policemen that are probably inefficient or sloppy in the United States? Definitely. But those are not the ones that they put on in movies. They put their best foot forward. So we're saying, Nigerians, when those things are going on, you must put your best foot forward.
Okay, when I was asking about those sore points, something like this was what I was looking for, where we have challenges, where our attitude, where we create disconnects that send these wrong signals to both us and those with whom we engage in the other parts of the world. That's essentially what I wanted to hear you talk about.
Okay, I mean, we have it across issues without elaborating. Basically, when you look at the index, for instance, let me get a national index, reputation index of countries, we're way back there, we're way down there. In fact, to the extent that when other nationals of other countries do the wrong thing, they attribute it to Nigerians. Look at the fact that recently, let me use the word recently, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arrested many Chinese people, Filipinos and so on, who are operating in Nigeria and perpetrating scams under the guise of them being Nigerians. I'm sure you've read that and you've seen that on television. So the question is, are we as bad as people make us out to be? Or
definitely not.
Yeah, people give a dog a bad name so they can hang it. I don't say that we have challenges. Don't get me wrong. We definitely have challenges. But in my opinion, I'm an optimist, and I don't think they're incurable. They're insurmountable, I beg your pardon. I believe that we can, with the right kind of attitude, with the right kind of pressure, with the right kind of progress, we can change things around.
We have examples of countries who are doing this intentionally, but the example I want to double down on are the examples of Rwanda and India. Today, brand Rwanda is so attractive, and the place they are showcasing is just a small city of Kigali. India came up with a campaign targeting the production companies in the world. Do you have plans to create this kind of windows of engagement with the world?
Most definitely, which is why we have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs involved. Most definitely. Let me tell you something. Reputation is not what you say you are. It's what others say you are. So it's about the reputation, it's about the perception. Today, yes, we have our challenges in terms of security. We do have our challenges. Let's not deny that, or let's not sugarcoat it. But your chances of being shot when you go to a shopping mall is far reduced in Nigeria than America. Your chances of your child going to secondary school and not coming back because some kid brought an automatic weapon into school and decided to shoot everyone is far much reduced in Nigeria than, in fact, it's almost non-existent. We've never had, and by the grace of God, hopefully we'll never have a public school shooting in Nigeria. But it happens every time. We've lost count. In fact, it's no longer big news again. In America, where some kid that's frustrated about something or the other just brings an automatic to school and shoots people. But that's not the messaging that comes out of those people, or those places, I beg your pardon. In those days, they would tell you when my parents were growing up, or when I was growing up from my parents, see Paris and die. They talk to you about God's own country. They sell to you an imagery that you believe that mask some of the challenges that they also have in those places. So invariably, they speak good of their place and of their people. And we talk our things down and we speak ill of our people. So we don't have a choice but to engage our externals so that we can bring home. Look at, let me just wrap this up with this. Dirty December. Do you know the number of people who will besiege this country this Christmas? I have a friend whose daughter is getting married. She's lived all her life in America, and she said, nah, I'm coming to Nigeria to get married. I'm bringing a host of people. You know why? They want to experience Dirty December. Things are happening. Things are certainly happening.
Things are happening, and we'll talk more about Dirty December and a few other issues when we come back from this break. Welcome back to this session of C-Suite Café, and we're still with Yomi Badejo-Okusanya, Chairman, Nigeria Reputation Management Group. You're welcome back.
Thank you.
At this point, we need to speak to exploiting what in the industry is called MICE, M-I-C-E. That is meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Nigeria is not exploiting this. The MICE opportunities are going in Africa, are going to Kenya, Egypt, and Rwanda and South Africa. South Africa is number one, and this is a $50+ billion market. How can activities such as Dirty December and a few other cultural and seasonal events be exploited to make sure we maximize inbound traffic with all the attendant economic opportunities in Nigeria?
Okay, so we must make it a product service. What it means is that almost door-to-door destiny, almost door-to-door. Have you ever, if you've gone to Disneyland, they do a full package for you. When you arrive, even from the bus you will take to the hotel, then from the hotel to the Disney park, and so on and so forth, they can do it. Even, everything end to end. I've had the privilege of visiting a couple of times. The trouble with us is that we have not learned to package it well, as much as we use the word. So one of our clients, I don't want to mention their name, so we give every advert. That's one of the things they're doing, which means that you're coming in for Dirty December. Right from the airport, they pick you. the security is guaranteed. They put you in an apartment, then they boss you around. They get tickets for some of the concerts and so on and so forth, visiting the beach. So it's your trip is in a package, and you don't have to literally worry about anything. Just go there. Having said that, you talked about MICE. There's a lot that goes into MICE. Let me give you an example. Do you know that it's very difficult to have a big conference in Lagos? Think about it. Which big conference has been hosted in Lagos? International conference. Just think.
Why not?
Because there are many issues, and we haven't dealt with those issues. So take, for instance, the biggest venue so far that you can host a large gathering is on the island. It's a hotel.
Yes.
Because of the ballroom. It has its own challenges, but that's the biggest. Purpose-built permanent structure. That's where it can give you the largest number of people. Now, the living, if you want to stay around that place, is expensive. So not everybody that comes for a conference in Lagos can afford to stay either in the environs of Victoria Land, Ikoyi, Lekki, which means that the people who can actually, the bulk of the people would stay mainly in the mainland. Traveling from the mainland to the island is quote unquote hellish, in the sense that you're going with the traffic in the morning and you come back in the evening. So nothing has been purposely built to deliver that conference experience in Lagos. But something happened a few weeks ago, and it's lost on all of us, and we didn't leverage it on. The rechristening of the National and the reopening of the National Arts Theatre as Wole Soyinka Center. The National Arts Theatre has, if I remember very well, the main auditorium could sit maybe 2,500. In the days when we used to go for Nigerian Music Awards, he had a rotating stage and so on. Then he had several he has, I believe, several cinema halls. I've seen the photographs, but I have not been able to go in. So a few weeks ago, the president came to Lagos and launched it. We missed that opportunity. Again, that should be the cultural center or the Center for Arts for Africa. But it must be purposely designed in that way. So what does that mean? The environs must have the facility to host. Yes. So a hotel must be built around there. And what is on the environment? You find a lot of marsh, wetland around there. It must be converted. It must be built around habitation. The kind of services we want must be built around there. And then the overflow of those things can be in a Surulere, for instance, where people can have affordable hotel, and it will not be too difficult for them to come into that place to get a conference, to be at the conference. They don't have to travel in traffic. There's Apapa. So Apapa can be urban rejuvenated to serve the national, the Wole Soyinka Center. So it's not just about the center. Thank you very much for the bankers committee that has refurbished the place. But it is about the things that are around there. Already we have a train station, so which makes it easy, and there's going to be a convergence, I believe, there on the train station, whereby the blue line is going somewhere, the green line is going somewhere, the purple line is going somewhere, someone's going to Okokomaiko. So it lends itself very well to the MICE revisiting the MICE initiative in Lagos State. So what we must pitch that is that, so we have in the biggest awards in Africa, music awards, let's talk about the music awards, hip hop awards, must be hosted there. The biggest award, Afrima, must be hosted there. Have you heard of the, what do you call that, Grammy, going outside of Los Angeles? No. Every year
goes down.
Why? But we must support Afrima because we found a home for Afrima. People must come to Nigeria every year to come and see Afrima, to come and be part of Afrima. Have you heard of the Los Angeles, the Grammy going out of LA? No. It's every year. How many years? I think they are now 60 something or something like that. They've always had it in Los Angeles. Why can't we do the same? It takes a combination of the federal government, Lagos state government, and private sector to deliver on that mandate. Wow. And that can be replicated in many of the states of the federation. I remember I was trying to engage my friend, I can call my friend, the governor of Ogun State, and I said, you know, you can do this thing. You can do this MICE. There's a train ride from Lagos that takes you directly to Abeokuta. We pick you. There's so much that you can do in Abeokuta. There's the Adire, Itoku Adire Market. There's the Olumo Rock. And there are other things that are happening around Abeokuta. You can seize that initiative. But
yeah, you have responded quite well to it. But I'll still go back to some of the issues impeding against optimizing even MICE-related things and branding, nation branding. The matter that is to do with security. Our national security is quite challenging, and we can't absolutely control the narrative there. The media, global media feeds on that. They feast on the crisis going on in the north, the northeast, the northwest, and of recent, even the southeast, even though that one has started going down, the IPOB thing. How do you and your group engage the government to take this crisis head on, to evaluate the costs of these things against Nigeria, to work the numbers out? I know that these are the opportunities we're losing because this is happening.
Okay. So I will not give you, well, it has to do with reputation. I feel that the Nigeria police is overstretched. I don't know many countries that have the kind of landmass that we have and have one police force. I don't know. I don't know them. I mean, in America, you know, you have local sheriffs, you know, that are sheriffs for what you call like local governments. You have state police. And in fact, you don't even actually have a federal police. The only federal enforcement group you have are the FBI.
FBI in the US.
So for me, I think the Nigeria, and if you ask me, every security is local. Bandits, no matter how crazy they are, will not leave the Sambisa forest to say he wants to come and operate in Victoria Island. Why? Because he's not familiar with the terrain. That's the reason why he can't do it. You know, until we had the suicide bombers, the most important thing for a criminal is get away. Because there's no point committing the crime when you can't get away. So that's why you realize that crime is not committed in certain environment where getting away is difficult. So let me give you my own interpretation of it. There are challenges with state police, but I don't see how we can run away from it. And I'm now not speaking on behalf of the NRMG. I'm speaking as Yomi Badejo-Okusanya. I think that it's somewhere we have to go eventually. Because the real thing that gives somebody comfort to come and attack you in your home is because they feel they can get away with it. In the states, for instance, where everybody, or in those states that you can carry guns, you don't know what the person who is inside, you don't know what the person is holding. So you're a bit cautious about attacking the person, because in fact there's a law, I've forgotten what it's called, in certain states in America, that if you go beyond the sentence, he has the right to shoot you. Yeah. Because he imagines that if you're at somebody's door and the person blah blah blah, stand down, I think it's called a stand down. So I think that what will our group do? But beyond that, acknowledging the challenges of security, I think that a lot of this is exaggerated. Because in spite of all of these things, yes, they will report the one-offs, that you want to travel from here to Kogi and somebody was kidnapped. One person was kidnapped, 2 people were kidnapped, 3 people were kidnapped. But guess what? Thousands went through that road. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying those 3 people who are kidnapped do not matter. But when you look at law of probability, you realize that, yeah, the ideal thing is that nobody should even be kidnapped.
Standard risk.
But then we take those 3, then we blow out of proportion, and it looks as if everywhere is not secure. My wife recently was preferred, and I like to use the word preferred, as a senior advocate of Nigeria about 2 weeks ago. And for her to complete her cases, she traveled to various parts of this country to either prosecute a case or defend a case. And a lot of the places, for instance, she was going to Sokoto like water. Sometimes go in the morning and come back in the evening. And honestly, touch wood, to the glory of God, nothing has ever happened. And she tried, even in the East, in the heart of where people think or where there are issues. So what I'm saying is that, I'm not saying they don't exist, but definitely there's a lot of exaggeration. It's called giving the dog a bad name so that you can hang it. I think, and then when those narratives are not countered, it gives you the impression. So you're afraid to go to this place. You're afraid to go, I can't go here. I can't. Do you know there are some people who can't leave Lagos to go to Ijebu or Ibadan, which is next door, or even Abeokuta, without carrying security? You know that?
Yes, I know.
But some of us go to those places without security.
Routinely.
We don't even think, I'm going to Ijebu tomorrow morning. I'm not, you know.
Okay, let's begin to round up, and then we want to talk about the event which by your calculation will become annual, the Nigerian Reputation Management Day.
Yes.
October 15th every year. And then the talk shop, the event you're planning for January. How are you working around this? What do we expect the outcome to be?
Okay. The whole idea of the Nigeria Reputation Management Day, like I said, is so that it can, the theme for this year is better reputation, better Nigeria. You know, so it's a truth that speaks to all of us, that the image of the country should not just be shaped by slogans and policies alone, but it should be by conduct, it should be by integrity, it should be by values of each Nigerian. And I said it earlier before that reputation is not merely perception. It is power that determines how the world receives us and investors trust our markets. So every year we are going to bring that consciousness to Nigerians and let people know that whatever you do or do not do either adds or distracts from the reputation of Nigeria. And so we want to occasion what we call behavioral change, that everybody will be conscious of the fact that there's a simple what's that word, adage that all our fathers must have used for us in this room. Remember whose child whose child you are. I'm sure your dad must have said that. You know, he may not have had the entire the whole world. He may not have driven a Rolls Royce, had private jets, but in that name, I know some fathers that will say, this name was given to me and I protected it, and I've given it to you. You too must give it to your children unblemished, just like I gave it to you and my father gave it to me. So we had pride in the fact that this whose child you are. So we want to bring consciousness to Nigerians to remember whose child you are in terms of a nation called Nigeria.
Thank you so much. And at C-Suite Café, we are interested in taking Nigeria to the world. In fact, the whole idea behind this project was born out of the need to exploit the knowledge accumulated by people like you in various industries, because the whole world out there needs to share in what you know, and then let the world start hearing that from Nigerians who are knowledgeable and who have made impacts in particular sectors, businesses, and callings. So we are willing to work with you on that project, and I'm sure next time when we call on you, you will respond, because you are a repository of the sort of knowledge we want to share with the wider world.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us your time today.
I will take you up on that challenge. Like I said to you, in January, we are putting together what we call the first Nigeria Reputation Summit, along the lines of the Nigeria Economic Summit. But rather than talk economy, we're going to talk about reputation. And we're going to look at all the linkages that have to do, just like the economists speak. We'll look at all those linkages, we'll examine them. Definitely, I'm going to take you on. C-Suite is going to become one of our partners, because we need many people on board.
We have come to the end of another explosive and exciting edition of C-Suite Café. Today, we talked about reputation, national reputation, and how Nigeria can get to its pride of place in the global reputation rankings. Thank you very much for being with us, and see you in the next episode. Today, we are presenting a copy of my book, Pitch, Debunking Marketing's Strongest Myths. And I'm sure in chapter 10 or 11, we discussed nation marketing with case studies as it affects Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our head office is going to be, it's already at the radio house in Abuja.
Okay.
Because I have a copy of this book, what I will do is that I will place this in the library of the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, so that it will become a resource, not just for me, but for everyone, especially generations that will come after us. at the Nigerian Reputation Management Group. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next,
Yeah,
we are formally
inducting
you into the faculty of C-Suite Café. It's an exclusive club, and you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, this looks good, and I can assure you that I'll be wearing it. My name is Yomi Badejo-Okusanya. Everybody calls me YBO, and I'm here on C-Suite. C-Suite has agreed to partner with us at the Nigerian Reputation Management Group, and I'm glad to have them on board. And therefore, I endorse fully, without any reservation, C-Suite, and I look forward to a very rewarding partnership. Nigerians, reputation first.